A Child's History of the World. Chapter 4. From an Airplane. People of the Bronze and Iron Ages thought the world was flat, and they knew only a little bit of the world, the small part where they lived, and they thought that if you went too far, the world came to an end where you would tumble off. The faraway land which nobody knew they called the Ultima Thule. This is a nice name to say, Ultima Thule, Ultima Thule, far away Ultima Thule. If we should go up in an airplane and look down on the world at the place where the first civilized people once lived, we should see two rivers, a sea, and a gulf, and from so high up in the air they would look something like this. Now, you probably have never even heard of these rivers and seas, and yet they have been known longer than any other places in the world. One of these lines is the Tigris River, and the other is the Euphrates. They run along getting closer and closer together, until at last they join each other and flow into what is called the Persian Gulf. You might make these two rivers in the ground of your yard or garden, or draw them on the floor if your mother will let you. Just for fun, you might name your drinking cup Tigris and your glass Euphrates. Then you might call your mouth, into which they both empty, the Persian Gulf, for you will hear a great many new names by and by. And as grown-up people give names to their houses and boats, to their horses and dogs, why shouldn't you give names to things that belong to you? For instance, you might call your chair, your bed, your table, your comb and brush, even your hat and shoes after these strange names. Then, if we flew in our airplane to the west, we should see a country called Egypt, another river, the Nile, and a sea now named the Mediterranean. Mediterranean simply means between the land, for this sea is surrounded by land. It is, indeed, almost like a big lake. It is supposed that long, long ago in the Stone Age, there was no water at all where this sea now is, only a dry valley, and that people once lived there. Along the Nile in Egypt and the Tigris and Euphrates were the only civilized nations living in the Bronze Age. The rest of the world people knew nothing about. There may have been cavemen living in other parts of the world, but it is only of the people in these two places that we have any written history until after the Iron Age began. All of the people who lived in the country of the Tigris and Euphrates were white. We don't know how, nor when, nor where colored people first lived, though it is interesting to guess. There were, we think, just 3 different white families, and from these 3 families all the white people in the world are descended. Yes, your family came from here way, 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 way back. So you will want to know the names of these 3 families and which one was your own. They were the Indo-Europeans, often called Aryans, the Semites, and the Hamites. Most of us belong to the Aryan family. Some are Semites, but very few in this part of the world are Hamites. If your name is Henry or Charles or William, you are probably an Aryan. If it is Moses or Solomon, you are probably a Semite. If it is Shufu or Ramesses, you are probably a Hamite. The Aryans came from higher up on the map than the other 2 families, we think. They were the first people to tame wild horses and to use them for riding and drawing carts. They also had tamed cows which they used for milk, and sheep for their wool.